ran up and yeah, had that problem. But we are on we're on the last lap, we're on the white flag lap, so the hybrid racing simulations white flag lap is out.
And it's going to be a remarkable win for Danson. We thought maybe he left it out too long. He didn't leave it out too long at all. He judged it absolutely perfect. What a win.
Perfect drive for Danson there. He is going to be chuffed about that one. Danny G getting a fantastic second place. Started ninth, got second. Edward Foster getting third place. He's going to be pretty happy about that. Gained a couple of positions. We've got Chris Purnell in fourth with Michael Skurlock fifth, Mirko Dortnack sixth. So good job for Illusion there.
Devonstone.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the ANZCAR Cup here at Auto Club Speedway, Fontana, California. I'm Carl Withy, and with me tonight is Mr. Matteo. How you going, Matteo?
Carl, good to be here tonight at Auto Club for round 3, the ANZCAR Cup. It's going to be another exciting night of racing. I'm looking forward.
Yeah, of course. The track here in Fontana got the 200 on tonight. It's going to be an interesting one. But just before we get on with everything, I'll just let everybody know the schedule coming up we got. So next up, we're at Phoenix on the 5th of March. On the 8th of March, we have the ESIA Endurance Championship down at Imola. On the 10th of March, we have round 1 of the Jinx Super 2 V8 series, and that's one to watch out for. A very interesting looking championship there. And then on the 12th of March, we have the ANZCAR Cup at Atlanta. So the ANZCAR Abruzzi Cup at Atlanta, and that's going to be a really tricky one. I know the guys were running that in the Xfinity and trucks this week, and apparently it was very, very slippery out there.
Yeah, tyre wear is going to be a massive factor tonight, so we're going to watch for cars slipping and sliding as we go along. Track temperature tonight as well will be interesting, and we're currently at 39 degrees Celsius track, so that'll also come into play tonight.
Well, that's a huge change from qualifying. Qualifying, it was around, about 20 degrees. It was very cloudy, very dark, very gloomy. And now it's jumped up by a good 15 degrees or so.
Yeah, the drivers won't be expecting that. I mean, we've already seen just in this warm-up a couple of crashes already, so this warm-up's going to be important with only a few minutes left for the drivers to get their head around the changing track conditions.
Yes, it really does throw people off when you get that change in temperature. And it's one of the things that makes this series quite tricky, is because you have practice and qualifying, and then all of a sudden you jump to a new session, and out of the blue, it's this when you get that different temperature, there's different skies, that makes different things like that tricky. It's almost like you've had a qualifying day a couple of days before, and then come to the race a little bit later. It really can throw you out. It's this when you get that different temperature.
Yeah, and the other thing tonight, Carl, we're going to have to look out for is after qualifying, we'll go through the viewers in a moment, the grid, but the qualifying has really mixed up all the big runners. We've got big runners, midfielders, back at the packs, and relatively unknown guys in this championship so far up front. So the grid tonight promises to produce a pretty interesting race, and I'm told by the drivers that they've been finding overtaking very, very difficult. So I know the drivers were keen to qualify as far front as they can. So those that are at the back of the grid, the big names, they're going to find it really difficult tonight to move.
Yeah, it's going to really throw some of them off, because there are some real drivers that are unknown sort of talents out there at the moment. We've got a few drivers that I've not seen before. One jumps straight up is Xavier Bellamy. Not seen him out before in the Cup. New name, and was pretty damn fast in qualifying, and has been pretty fast out there as well. Just looking between the practice and qualifying times as well, the times we had in qualifying were a bit slower than we're having now. It's sort of the speeds have dropped a little bit from that temperature. That a bit of extra heat has really made a difference to the track. Yeah,
for sure. And one other thing to note for the drivers at home, the viewers at home, I should say, that happened in qualifying is we only had a difference of 1 to 2 tenths splitting almost the entire field in qualifying. So we've got a big grid tonight of guys that are all very close, matching on pace. So there's going to be a lot of battles out here tonight.
Yes, well, that's it. From, I think it was 1st to 10th, it was 0.009 between them. It was ridiculous.
Unbelievable.
It just, yeah, it's crazy.
Well, it shows the quality of the field, I think, that we have tonight. I mean, and the quality of this competition week in, week out. It's getting stronger and stronger, and the guys are putting in more and more practice because they know that they're up against some very quick guys. I mean, the winner from last week, Matt Danson, is starting mid-pack this week. So the competition is heating up the more we go through this championship.
Yeah, it is really doing. It is, and it's been very competitive as well this year, which is what we would like to see. We're only 2 races in, of course, so you know it can all change from there. But this is the first full season where we've had the full Cup car changes, where we've had the tyre model changes, lots of different things this year for this year's championship. And it has really changed some of the drivers' styles, some of their approaches to the racing as well, because all of that changed to the well, the software elements of the sim has really changed how things are working for everybody out there, and it has thrown a few people out, but also it's helped a few people get further up the field.
Oh, that's right. I mean, it could be suiting certain drivers with the new tyre model as we tick over to the end of this official warm-up session.
Yeah, so we're going to be gridding up now. So getting ready for that. Get all of that set up. So we'll start running through the grid for you. So on the front row, we have Riley Curtis. Fantastic job for Riley Curtis getting on the front for this one with Bradley Allison, the rookie that is really making a name for himself in the series next to him. On the second row, we have Danny G with Michael Skurlock. Michael Cracknell and Jason Hartigan are on the third row. Fourth row, we have Jason Martin with Mirko Dortnak. Of course, Mirko Dortnak won last year with that fantastic strategy call, undercutting the rest of the field. Fifth row, we have Nathan Connor with Xavier Bellamy. Sixth row, Josh Micklemore with Brett Douglas. Sixth row, Matt Danson with Chris Purnell. Seventh row, Jake Maloney with Brett Gerritz. Eighth row, Kai Sloggett and Hammy Stein, another new driver. Behind them is Norman Clark with Ryan Jones. On the 10th row, Matt Hunter with Edward Foster. 11th, we had Ayrton Smith with Simon Mesmo. 12th, we have Devon Stove with Neil Pearson. 13th, Joshua Carroll Walden with Daniel Stevens. 14th, S. Peterson with Raymond Yeager. 15th, we have Matthew Cluett with James Roby. 16th, Dave Douglas with Stephen Williams. 17th, Phil Otto with Nathan Clive. 17th, we've got Lindsay Hobbs with Bradley Kemp. 18th is Jonathan Hancock with Damon Stockton. 19th, Tristan Koch with Matt Allison. Another one of those rookies that's been doing quite well this season. Down there a fair bit. And then right at the back we have Hamish Gallagher. Another guy is extremely good and quite quick, but yeah, he's down at the end because, well, simply just getting a bit unlucky in qualifying there, I think.
And as we said earlier, the pace is just so hot. So there's a few drivers here that have been caught out, and watching them come through the back of the pack. I mean, Gallagher will be one to watch tonight to see how much he can weave his way through.
Yeah, definitely. You know, there are some drivers quite far down. We've got people like Joshua Carroll Walden, of course, winner of the 500, way down there in 27th place. You know, right midfield, sort of towards the back of the pack. Dave Douglas down in 33rd, which is very low for Douglas to be. He's usually quite normally up in the top sort of 10. Edward Foster down in 21st. Sorry, 22nd even. You know, some real big names quite far down. So it's going to be interesting to see how these guys do with this one. I'm going to go quiet now for the start of the race.
Green, let's hear these things roar. Past the cameras as they come around the track. A great start there by Riley Curtis.
Riley Curtis getting a great start. Jason Martin actually just getting a little bit out of shape coming through turns 3 and 4. He's just got down a little bit and he's dropped down the pack quite a bit. I think it might have been a little bit of contact possibly just as we were going there. He just got a little bit out of shape. Yeah, we got a little bit of contact from him and I think Mirko Dortnak, who just went up into the wall. On that first lap, he just got caught out, went up into the wall slightly, and lost a little bit of traction, and then caught Martin. So, yeah, that's a big one there. So those guys have got a little bit out of shape at the start there, not much, but just a little bit. Now all the pack are starting to climb all over Riley Curtis.
Yeah, and also Bradley Allison, our rookie of the year contender so far, is under amount of being overtaken quickly after starting second. He's drifting back, and on that outside line he's got multiple people coming up on the inside.
Yeah, he's getting there now. Danny G's got that high line working for him right now when he's got Skurlock just behind him. just behind Riley Curtis, going down the inside as they go 3 wide into turn 4. You've got Josh Micklemore there getting a fantastic line, and it's just caught Riley Curtis right out in the middle of that corner. It's going to lose quite a bit of time there. Just with the side draft, you just get out of shape. The car almost feels like it's losing grip on there. It is on the very limits of traction. But that's helped Danny G get through as well, ahead of Josh Micklemore, his teammate. The Mitch Motorsport boy's looking good right now.
Well, Josh Micklemore, who started 11th and Matt Danson 13th, are already in the top 3. An incredible start by those two guys. Unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic job. They're really going for it, as they always go 4 wide into the corner there.
How do you make up 10 positions in 3 laps? So these guys have serious pace, and Mitch Motorsport, Matt Danson are showing their hand once again this week. What a start.
Yeah, look, Matt Danson just getting that run there. I think he was helped a lot with that little incident at the start between Dortnack and Martin. He just sort of got through that, as it was almost like the seas parting before him, as he's going to be on the outside line here as we come into the final set of turns 3 and 4. Right by the wall. He's running as close to the wall as you want to be. And he is just sticking there so well, getting a little bit of the side draft, getting a little bit out of shape there. Just a tiny little bit of momentum change, but now he's going to slide down and try and undercut Danny G.
Yeah, what a move up on the inside. Interesting, Matt Danson this week's not coming from the back of the pack. This week he's going to stay at the front of the pack as long as he can, but he's got a couple of hungry Mitch Motorsport boys all around him as he's looking to get into the lead of this race early on. A very different strategy to last week.
Yeah, I think this week he knows he's actually got a race, because not saying that he didn't have to race last week, but this week there is such a close time. Starting at the back could really cost you a lot of time.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, a lot of the drivers were talking midweek about the difficulties of overtaking at this circuit, but it has not staved off those two guys at all. And in fact, the overtaking hasn't looked too bad at all, with drivers taking 3 lines around this circuit as we now start to filter into a normal sort of 2-line race at the moment as the field starts to spread out.
I expect that to change in the next 5 laps or so. Once they get past around about laps sort of 12 to 15, the tyres do start dropping off quite a lot. One of the things I did find, though, it's quite strange. You start losing a lot of time on the tyres, but it becomes easier to drive, which makes little sense when you say it out loud, but it just starts getting a little bit slower in the time, which means you don't have to lift as much on the corners. You can just roll a little bit easier. But you do lose a little bit of speed. There is a lot of drop-off on the tyres here, and as I was saying with Mirko Dortnack last year, he had a big change of position because he pitted a bit earlier and just got the undercut on everybody. So that can be really effective here. But of course, with the new tyre models, it could be anyone's race right now. We're not sure exactly how it's going to perform.
Well, that's what we're going to have to watch out for tonight. I mean, it looks to be a one-stopper at this stage, and it's who blinks first in terms of strategy. Last week we saw Matt Danson wait. He didn't go the undercut. He went the overcut, and it worked out quite well. So there'll be drivers tonight pushing for the undercut. There'll be drivers going for the overcut, and it'll be really interesting to see which of those strategies is the one that pays dividends at the end of this race. So that's definitely something to look out for.
Yeah, and strategy is going to be an interesting one, because chances are most people are, theoretically, one stop is going to be your fastest option, of course. With a caution comes out, that throws everything out the window. But you might see some people trying to do 2 stoppers, because the speed you're going to gain on those tyres can actually help you out sometimes. So it could be an interesting race in that respect. Of course, one stop you're going to get that sort of lap advantage on the car, but with the amount of speed that you gain on the tyres and the amount of speed you lose on these tyres as well through a stint, it could be getting into that realm where a 2-stop might be slightly quicker. But it's all going to depend on how much drop-off we're getting tonight. If it's a big drop-off, then that 2-stopper will work. If it's sort of dropping off and plateauing at around about a 1 to 2 second loss of speed, then everybody will keep out on that sort of single stop, and they can absolutely do it on fuel. Fuel-wise here, you can make it to about 55 laps if you're nursing it.
Yeah, and just in 11th position, Ryan Jones for Illusion Motorsports got a bit of damage on his car in the last lap. He's actually made contact with the car in front, a bit of bump drafting, and then moved right and made contact with Michael Cracknell on the outside. So he's got a bit of front end damage. Won't affect him at all, but he's getting a bit touchy and bumpy out there, which is quite interesting to see. He actually got quite loose. I thought he was about to spin, but held on to it nicely.
This is the stage of the race where things start getting a little bit weird because the car just starts handling a bit different. Generally on the first corner, you have to lift through it just a little bit. Just ease off the throttle a little bit, let the car roll through it a tiny bit. But as you get along in this race, there's a certain sweet point for these tyres where you can pretty much go full throttle. But that only lasts a couple of laps, and of course if you keep doing that, you're going to wear your tyres quicker. So got to be really careful with the balancing act of these cars.
Yeah, for sure. As we continue to see Danson doing the reverse strategy of last week, looking very comfortable out in the lead. Jason Hardigan for JP Simshed's moved up into second. Some good move there to move in front of the two Mitch Motorsport boys of Josh Micklemore and Danny G. So looks like Jason Hardigan's looking pretty racy, looking like he might be pretty keen to make a move on Matty Danson.
Yeah, he's had some good luck in the trucks and Xfinity Cup recently. He's been just slowly getting a bit faster and faster, and he's definitely got it today. He's actually been getting a little bit of a run on Danson out through turns 3 and 4. I've noticed he's getting a better run off of that corner, coming onto the front straight. Well, the front D shape, I should say. It's not quite straight the front here, but he's getting a decent run off those final corners. And just see now that Danny G and people like that are starting to drop off a little bit. Danny G's dropping down a bit. Josh Micklemore's just finding it hard, and he goes down on the inside this time. Nice job there. It seemed to have just a bit more traction possibly than Matt Danson, who's gone out wide. And I think he's got it. But Hardigan. Will Danson chop down now and try and get the undercut? No, Hardigan comes down, blocks him off. Fantastic job there for Hardigan.
Well, he's just repaid the favour of the last lap when Danson did the same move, blocking him on the inside of the circuit. He's watched and learnt and said to Matty Danson, if you can do that, I can do it as well. And if you're going to overtake me, you're going to have a big dig. So looking really racy, these guys. They're really stretching the field. We've got a pack of 3, 4, 5, 6 cars that are all line astern and starting to move away from that main group. As Matty Danson says, if you could dive up the inside of me, mate, I could dive up the inside of you as well.
He goes for it, but he's just having to lift off a little bit, and there's a slight rub.
Oh.
Very, very close there. Just that little bit of rub, and that's just the understeer you get coming out through those final corners. If you go too tight through those final corners here, you do get that understeer happening, and you just start sliding up. So it was a bit inevitable, that one. Trying his best, trying to really muscle his way through, but Hardigan just holding on to the pressure and holding on to the car with that touch. Fantastic driving there.
Yeah, it was great. I had a bit of a heart and mouth moment there. I saw Matty Danson get pretty loose. I thought he was about to spear off to the left wall as Josh Micklemore decides that he wants a bit of a play in this as well. And these top 6 drivers are moving away from the field now.
Yeah, they're starting to pull away. Bradley Allison in there as well, and Jason Martin just heading up the back of that pack. At the moment, you've got to say Mitch Motorsport are looking good. They have got 3 cars in that leading pack at the moment, as Matt Danson gets a good run on the outside through the D section this time, but he's probably going to have to lift off a bit coming through this section. Does he? Yes, he does. So, yeah, the high line through the first couple of corners is just not going to work too well for you at the moment. You just start getting a little bit loose. The tyres just don't want to grip as much, and it gets a bit tricky, but it does give you a good run on the exit, so you get a good little bit of speed on the end of the straight. And we'll see here, does he actually manage to get through? Danson's still on the outside. He's probably going to have to lift a little bit more, and he could start losing a bit of speed here. He'll probably cut down and try and get on the inside again.
You're talking about Mitch Motorsport cars, Carl. I mean, we've got them in 3rd, 5th and 6th. In the last 2 races, for those who had Mitch Motorsport cars leading and being taken out of the race in the lead. So those guys will be looking for a bit of better luck. And interestingly, they're not keen to lead at the moment. They're maybe a bit happier not to lead this week and get taken out of the lead. So we might see if they bide their time and look to make a move a bit later on in this race.
Yeah, Jason Martin has had a shocking start to the season. It's not been great as Josh Micklemore tries to make a little bit of a run up there. He's got underneath Danson now. Let's see how he does with this one. Danson on the outside, Micklemore on the inside. He's got a little bit loose on the exit of that corner. It's going to give Danson a little bit more speed. Will Danson be able to shut him down? No, he can't. He's still going to have to sit on the outside line going through the first couple of corners. And you can just see that now Josh Micklemore's stuck very close inside, and his tail is just going to get a little bit happy through that corner. But he's got some good grip. He's still got some good speed through there. And he does get a slightly better exit than Danson there. Pretty much neck and neck. And, no, sorry, Danson got the better exit. You can just see him breeze past, and Micklemore's just going to slide up behind him now.
Yeah, and that's why you keep an eye on that pack, Carl. I've just headed to our second group of cars, really. I mean, we've got a situation of some drivers now that are probably a bit concerned of the lead that these guys are starting to make, and there's a lot of moves being made in the backfield. You know, we have guys, especially Gallagher, you spoke about earlier, from 43rd position.
Sorry, just to interrupt you there. Danson just jumping down the inside through turns 1 and 2. He's just left Hartigan out to dry a little bit. He's lost some speed, and that's given Josh Micklemore a chance. Sorry about that.
No. Keep going. There's fantastic stuff at the front, but these guys are just so fast that the guys at the back of the pack, the back of this field, I think would be starting to get a little bit concerned. I know we're early on, and there's probably going to be some cautions, but we can see some of the bigger names now in that lower pack starting to get to the front to try and make a move to catch these guys.
They've really got to start trying to work together, but the trouble is they're all squabbling behind them in the pack, and that's not helping their cause. You've got people like Ryan Jones, Chris Purnell, Kai Sloggett there, and running free wide through the first corner, the Illusion cars, and that's given Jake Maloney the chance to get up on them. Giving Edward Foster a chance to climb as well. Foster has managed to get 9 spots so far. Ryan Jones, though, he's managed to get 13 spots so far this race, doing a very good job out there. But those guys are starting to run very close, but while they're battling, it's just letting the front pack run away with it and just pull up a lead.
Well, that's what I'm just wondering, Carl. I know these guys are touching, but I mean, this front pack of 6 cars are actually working well together. They're not holding each other up. They're slipstreaming when need be. They're making the right move. So I think that's why they've made a bit of a gap. So I think you're right, that backpack, they've got to start working together. And Ed Foster, you can see, is moving to the front of that pack and saying, come on, guys, let's go. We've got to bridge this gap. Because if there's no cautions, that's a big gap to catch.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really going to start hurting them the longer this goes. They really need to start working together, because the front pack is almost a whole corner ahead of them now, which is a decent lead with only 21 laps into a race. You know, considering how close it was in qualifying, you can just see how much time they're losing battling each other, and it's because they keep going, you know, 3 or 4 wide in this pack, and it's just costing them time lap after lap after lap, getting a slight bit of side draft as well through the corners. But they're just costing each other time and just losing spots. Kai Sloggett and Ryan Jones are trying to break out of it, but they're almost the whole straightaway from Danny G right now. They're 4 seconds behind.
And I suppose the concern is, I mean, we talk about cautions, but I mean, we're talking about probably the best oval races in Australia and New Zealand. So, you know, if I'm out on that track, I'm thinking, geez, that there is the honest possibility of no cautions tonight. That's how good these guys are. They've been racing relatively clean in the especially last week, maybe not in Daytona, but last week was very clean, and yeah, they'll be really starting to push. But yeah, this leading pack of 6 cars is doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, just having a little look further back, just at Matt Allison, another very good rookie so far this year. He's been having some great runs. He's dropped all the way to the back, and he's actually down 2 laps, so I'm not sure what's happened to him there. But the front of the pack is just changing every couple of laps, and it's sort of, they're working together just to pull away at the moment. Josh Micklemore is now leading with Bradley Allison just behind him. Matt Danson's dropping back a little bit, and what these guys are doing is also they're sort of saving a bit of fuel here as well as they all switch around positions. Jason Martin's now on the charge too. Jason Martin went from that little bit of a touch at the first couple of laps of the race now to almost leading it. So he's having a fantastic run here as well.
Yeah, they're definitely working together now, Carl. It's probably the only one that's not working with them is Danny G. Danny G's saying, "No, you guys bring me along for the journey. I'm just going to sit here in 6th and stay out of it." So he's the little dark horse in the orange car, Mitch Motorsports, having a little look at these guys and sitting quite pretty.
Yeah, they're doing a fantastic job, and it's what we like to see. Now, you can just see now that Danny G is just trying to get up behind Jason Martin. He's trying to get in contact with his teammates, and you can just see Mitch Motorsport trying to work together now, trying to get their cars all organised in a line. Because if they can manage to get into a three-car pack, they could possibly get a bit of a run on this race and start pulling away. Because you can see right now, Matt Danson's dropped back, as well as Jason Hartigan. He's dropped all the way to the back of this pack now from the lead, within a couple of laps, and it is just so very close.
Yeah, I mean, the team play in this leading pack is huge. 3 Mitch Motorsport cars, 1 JP Simshed, Bradley Allison, the rookie, and Matty Danson. If those 3 want to work together, they can, but you're exactly right. The 3 guys in the leading pack can work together beautifully. Now that pack at the back is not closing. They've closed in by about 1/10 the last 2 laps.
Yeah, there's definitely a bit of time between them, and it's just that bit squabbling. They are starting to, they will start reeling them in a little bit, but just the sheer amount of cars in that backpack is just jaw-dropping. There's sort of nothing between that backpack all the way down. It's just a sea of cars right now, and you've got some very fast drivers out there. Norman Clark, for instance, in JP Simshed, is down in 37th at the moment. And not much he can do, really. He's just stuck in this big, long line of traffic. Matthew Cluett as well. He was running pretty high up earlier on, so he's dropped down a fair bit, I think. So I'm pretty sure I saw him lurking around a little bit earlier on. Yeah, he's dropped 10 positions. And he's right at the back now and sort of trying to really hang on. And these guys are going to start being caught by the leaders in a few laps, for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting just how this is panning out. Ed Foster's definitely leading the charge of that backpack, but I'm also interested to wonder how much tape a lot of these guys are running. Obviously, the more tape, the quicker you are, but obviously a bit of a danger of some engine issues later on. It just seems like there's probably a couple of cars out there, for whatever reason, just have a massive speed advantage over others, especially in that backpack. There's guys that are just clinging on just of slipstream. They just don't seem to have all that much pace, but I suppose we'll see how it goes as this race goes on. Geez, I'm impressed by Bradley Allison, Carl. I mean, is this his first season in ANZCAR Cup?
Yes, it is. I'm pretty sure, unless I've forgotten, which is always a possibility. There is always the possibility of me being wrong.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be a stream without me being wrong at least once. But
a podium at Daytona, and now he's mixing it with the big boys here.
Yeah, he's doing a fantastic job. I think actually we got them mixed up because it was Matt Allison that got the podium at Daytona. Yeah, so two different Allisons, but Bradley Allison's been running up there as well. Fantastic season for them both, as I said. They're running well. And speaking of that, Matt Allison, he was a couple of laps down at Daytona. I think he was 4 laps down at one stage and managed to get on the podium. So he's going to hope he can get a similar performance tonight, as you've got Jason Martin now just pushing his way through, getting up to the front of the pack now, trying to get to the lead with Josh Mickelmore there. The other thing you were saying about tape, though, is because it was so much cooler before, because they were running on a very cool track in practice.
Yeah.
Chances are some of these guys might have taped the cars a bit too much with this heat as well, because it's quite a warm track temperature, it's quite warm ambient temperature as well. It could start causing them problems, so they might be able to just lift off a little bit. It's not super hot out there. It's only about 21 Celsius out there, sort of ambient. But of course, when you're running in a pack, it does get a lot hotter.
Yeah, for sure, and especially if you get damage as well. So if you have a little praying like Jones earlier, he has a little bit of damage on the front end that can really start to increase the temperatures. You might even see drivers such as him have to pull out the cool air just to bring that engine temperature down. It's a fine line, it's a risk. And I know these guys, talking to them, really have that tape on the absolute limit to eke out any speed advantage they have. So just something to look out for tonight. You know, we saw a couple of engines blow at Daytona. We've got some guys running extreme tape. So yeah, something to look out for there. Hopefully no blown engines in this one.
Yeah, well, of course, famously we're pushing Dave Douglas. Of course, there was the car giving him a nice little push with
blew
a
on the last
special
lap, I think.
with a special aero package for extra cooling even, and it didn't work too well. But yeah, there have been some blown engines this season, and it appears that the new Cup car are a little bit temperamental with that. There's been a few more blown engines this year than we had last year, so it is interesting to see that. Once these new cars actually came out and everything sort of got changed around, things like that, we did see a couple of engines blow in the first race we had them, and I think people are still they're getting used to them now, but they are a little bit less forgiving than the older ones.
Yeah, for sure. As just looking at that pack of angry cars closing in, they've closed by about 8/10 in the last 3 laps. So they are starting to work together now. That massive pack of cars behind, perhaps their speed isn't as bad as I was predicting earlier. Now that they've got their stuff sorted out, they're starting to make some ground now on this leading pack of cars. So once that angry pack of cars matches up against these 6 guys, I think we're really going to see some action as Danson has another dig down the inside of Allison.
Yeah, we go almost 3 wide here. And just watching Jason Martin that last lap, he was just scrubbing out on the outside and just losing time, a lot of time. And Josh Mickelmore is coming into the pits.
Wow.
Josh Mickelmore is coming into the pits on lap 33, which puts him on target for a 2-stopper.
Yeah, so 2-stopper. So not so much what we were predicting, Carl. So my prediction was a 1-stopper, but I mean, we could see a separation here. It'd be interesting to see if the Mitch Motorsport boys all come in around now for the 2-stopper, or if people are prepared to stay up for the 1-stopper. So this is fascinating. Brian Jones also in.
Yeah, Brian Jones coming in, and as I said, we saw this last year from Mirko Dortanack, and it really paid dividends. That early stop, you got a huge undercut from it. Is everybody else going to come in? I've got a feeling Jason Martin's going to come in this lap. He seems to just be running a little bit loose out there, and the car doesn't seem to be to his liking. No, he keeps out. But
Danny G's in.
Danny G's in. So they're staggering their stops, it looks like. So probably we'll see Jason Martin come in next lap. Not many other people choosing to come in. So I think a lot of the other drivers are looking for that single stop strategy. As it gets very close there between Hartigan and Danson. Got a few cars coming out now, and this is going to start shuffling the pack up, and we could see a caution as the cars come back onto the track, have to get some speed, especially with these big long packs that are running.
Well, Mickelmore's actually filtered into the middle of that backpack that we were talking about, so this could work either in his favour with some slipstreaming. It could actually hold him up if he gets stuck in a bit of traffic, and it'd be interesting to see what our other leaders decide to do. Do they blink and follow his lead, or do they stay out? So, yeah, Mickelmore filtering right into the middle of the big angry pack we were talking about earlier. So, interesting stuff.
Well, the big thing to watch from Josh Mickelmore now is just how quickly he passes cars, because that's going to give us an idea of how good the undercut is. And you can just see him just darting through there and taking 2 cars through the first corner. Very easy. It's almost like he's running a different type of car out there with the amount of grip he's got. And of course, he's got better traction as well, as Danny G's just come out and he's just behind Mickelmore. So he's just sitting a little bit behind Mickelmore. And Jason Martin's staying out. Bradley Allison's going to come in, I think. So Bradley Allison has dropped down quite early for this one. He's dropped down quite early to come in for the pit lane. He's going to lose quite a lot of time from that one, as we see a few other cars coming in too. But people are starting to see what's happening here. Riley Curtis coming in. Xavier Bellamy. Hamish Gallagher, Hammy Stein, sorry. They're all coming in now. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Yeah.
Well, I think I'm watching Matty Danson here. I mean, he was the one who picked the strategy last week. He spoke about it in the post-race chat that he does a lot of work on strategy, and he feels as though he's got a good feel on these new tyres. So he's the one I'm watching, Carl, in terms of reacting to these Mitch Motorsport guys coming in. Ironically, though, Jason Martin, the other Mitch Motorsport member, is staying out. So Danson, Martin, Hartigan are your top 3, and they're going around again.
Well, I wonder if maybe Martin's just staying out, running a counter strategy, just going to stick with
Split it.
Yeah, stick with Danson. So just looking at the actual times and looking at the speeds, Josh Mickelmore is.
Well, he's coming up on the leading pack.
Yeah, he's over a second a lap faster at the moment. These guys that have stopped are well over a second a lap faster, which is a big gap.
He's about to overtake the leader to get his lap back. I mean, the undercut here is massive. You said it earlier, Carl. I mean, he's come out in the middle of the big pack and he's about to unlap himself. And I'm sure his teammate's going to give him a very easy ride on the...
And maybe this is why Martin was staying out a little bit longer, to just try and keep him back a little bit, help his teammate there. But Danny G's coming up on them now as well. And Jake Maloney as well. Jake Maloney's in that pack. He's not stopped yet. But you've got these guys now that are just going to fly away from it. And, of course, when these guys do stop, they're going to gain a bit of speed, and they'll gain speed on the people that stopped earlier, of course. But as I said, it does tend to plateau a little bit. So it's sort of, you don't gain as much as you think sometimes around here. From last year's experience, I would say that we could be looking... well, I'm not going to say it, because guaranteed I'll do the curse of the commentator, but this looks like a good strategy call for the guys that are on it. They could be in a good position later in the race.
I'm going to go against you, Carl, actually. I think the guys staying out are top position. They can play the game a little bit better. They're not under any stress in terms of when they need a pit. They're just cruising, and I think a lot of these guys are Maloney, Ed, that were in that leading pack that have caught these guys are probably watching Matt Danson. I honestly think if I was out there, I'm looking at Matty Danson. And there's an ice off! Into the pit lane! Oh, it's huge! Oh, he's on his
crash there. Going straight into the barrier there, just trying to actually see who that was. I missed the car.
Yeah, Ryan Jones.
Ryan Jones, that is huge, and it's actually remained green though, which is, I'm sure everybody else is going to be very happy with that one. But that was a huge crash for Jones. He was out there, and yeah, that's his race over and done with, unfortunately. Just try and go back and see exactly what happened there for him.
Yeah, he looks like he's come around the corner right up behind Hardigan, and he's touched on the outside, lost the rear end, and he could have gone left or right, and he's stayed in the middle and absolutely ploughed into the pit lane divider. That's a huge accident.
It is, and he got airborne and actually rolled it at the end there as well. That is a huge crash there. That's where sim racing is actually quite good, because you come out of that without too much pain.
Yeah, if that was in real life, that'd be as bad as it gets.
You can sometimes get a little bit of an injury from the steering wheels if you've got the direct drive up a little bit high, but other than that, that's the worst injury you're going to attain from a crash like that. But that would have been a very, very nasty one there. Yeah, absolutely totaled the car, and that's him out of the race, unfortunately.
But yeah, it stayed green amazingly. So the race controllers decided that didn't warrant a safety car, even though there's a driver out there that needs urgent medical attention. And we've stayed green.
Well, it's one of the useful things of sim racing. There's been some interesting things that have happened over the years. I think back to, I think it was Danny G. He ended up at one of the races a couple of years back. He speared off into the infield, caught the barrier, and then went flying up into the sky and disappeared into space. So that was one of those incidents where it remained green because the driver was no longer at the circuit.
The driver was on the moon.
Yes, so he's done well to get back in this one.
Yeah, it's good to see him back on Earth and racing tonight.
Yes, and well, Jason Martin's pulling out a decent lead here. He's doing a very good job. He's made a bit of a gap now for himself. And doing a good job there. Just looking back down the field, Josh Mickelmore's now in 23rd place, and he is, well, he's a fairly
full straight,
pulling off a fair gap now. But this is where the tyres are going to start plateauing a little bit, and he's not going to probably gain as much speed. So just having a little bit of a look, he's still setting in the 41s, so he's still about a second faster than the guys that have stayed out. So for the time being, he's still faster, but he's only done 7 laps on these tyres. So they'll probably start plateauing around about lap 15. And that's when they start really going sort of not much feedback, not much, they don't start working as well.
He's missing the slipstream as well, so he's sitting out on his own. This pack of cars that are obviously on the one-stopper have the advantage of sitting in each other's slipstream and saving a bit of tyres, saving a bit of fuel. But yeah, we've definitely got just an amazing race here. We've got two strategies. We've got basically all these random solo guys that have no slipstream on the two-stopper, and this big pack of cars waiting for Matt Danson to pit, I would imagine, on the one-stopper.
Yeah, it looks like everybody's going to be following Danson's lead there. It's going to be a big pit stop when it comes, and especially if it remains green. Just looking at the speeds of Josh Micklemore, even though he's not in that pack, he's still getting up to around about 280, 290 kilometers per hour, especially down the front straight. While people like Jason Martin are struggling with that speed, they're about 5 to 6 kilometers per hour slower through the straights even, because they're getting such a bad run off the corners. And through the corners, they're losing about 10, 12 kilometers per hour. So they're losing time through those corners, and that's where it's really starting to affect them. And even though he's not in the draft, sorry, he's actually not that much slower than people that are in the draft at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. So. Yeah, I mean that's amazing speed. His car's definitely quick. It's just going to be a complete role reversal. When these guys pit, they're going to eat him up alive.
Yeah, we'll see these guys pitting around about lap 51 onwards, I reckon, from my calculations, because you can do pretty much 50 laps on fuel, so they'll probably go a little bit longer if they can, try and eke out the fuel so they have to take less fuel in their pit stop. So around about lap 50 to 55 is going to be the magic lap for these guys to stop, so it's coming up now. So they're going to be running almost on fumes at this point, some of the guys, especially people like Martin. He's going to be running a little bit low on the old field because he's been leading quite a lot.
Well, he's in the lead, Carl. I'm worried about that. The poison chalice of Martin in the lead of a race. I'm not going to jinx him again this week, but it scares me when I see that purple car leading the race.
Yeah, the purple car is leading. We won't say the name. That could
yeah,
out of trouble.
Yeah, number 21. I'm just not going to say his name.
And looks like Foster's having a good run, actually, at the moment. He's starting to climb up a little bit.
Martin and Danson are in.
Okay, pitting a little bit early, so they followed each other's lead there, pitting on lap... what are we, lap... blah, blah, blah. 49. Lap 49. So, if that's as far as they could go on fuel, they could be in for trouble here.
That's interesting.
Because they're going to have to run 2 laps with, 2 more laps than this to get to the end of the race.
If we stay green, that's a definite concern, I think, for those guys, unless they've got fuel left in the tank, but you wouldn't imagine they would. So, yeah, an interesting pickup there, Carl. They could be very touch and go to make the end of this race if it stays green. And
Martin gets a good exit there. He's got a good lead. Just a decent pit stop for Martin there. There has been a bit of a curse for Jason Martin. Pit stops. He has a bit of a curse for overshooting the pit stops, but he seems to have gotten that under control now, and he's really getting much better on those pit entries.
He's gained a huge amount of time on Danson in the pits. I mean, he's gained about 5 seconds, 8 seconds.
He has had a much better pit stop than Danson, who lost a lot of time there. So that is a big one for Danson, and he's losing positions. He's going to drop quite far back right now. But what we're going to see now is how far back from Josh Micklemore they are. Because Josh Micklemore's just gone into the first corner, and Jason Martin is somewhere. They're just crossing the line now, so there's about half a lap between those guys now. So they're going to start gaining on Danny G and Micklemore. But will they be able to gain enough time to actually sort of take them out of contention? Because if this 2-stopper works as it should, then we should see a decent race at the end of this run. We're going to see Micklemore and Danny G probably pitting around about laps 60 to 70. And they should have a decent amount of pace to actually get onto the lead lap. It's going to be very touch and go how much they lose.
Yeah, I was just watching Matty Danson's pit stop, Carl. He's actually done an Austin Powers, what I'd call it. He's overshot his pit bay, reversed, gone forward, reversed, and gone forward again, and then went back again. So that's why he's lost as much ground as he did.
Yes, and that explains it. That's the Jason Martin curse of pit stops, we used to call it, because that was Jason's trouble. But as I said, he's definitely got better at that. So right now, the guys that stopped a little bit earlier, but they are now in the lead. So those guys are just having a look down. So James Roby. So from James Roby to Jason Martin, there's a few seconds in it, but they're about 15 seconds back on Josh Micklemore right now.
Yeah, so I think Jason Martin is effectively the leader of that alternate strategy, who's currently in 10th position, and he's 15 seconds back. So we'll keep an eye on those splits as we go around. I mean, we should be looking at around close to a second a lap faster, as Micklemore's and Danny G's tyres will be starting to feel a little bit of pain.
They will, but oddly enough, their lap times have not dropped that much. They've definitely dropped, but at the moment, the last lap, for instance, for Josh Micklemore was a 41.7. So we're going to have to wait and see what these guys do as they're getting around, getting their tyres warmed up, of course. They're going to drop down to about a 41.2, 41.3. But it's not such a big gap. And this is what we saw last year with Mirko Dortnack, is they sort of had the ability to just keep a little bit of that. It got better as the race ran in, basically.
Yeah, okay. So that'll be interesting to watch.
Speaking of bad stops, Jason Hardigan has had a really bad one. Bit of a horror stop for him, unfortunately, and has dropped him quite far back. So really not what he needed. He was up there with the leaders, and he's now dropped almost all the way back to the back of the grid, 36th at the moment.
Oh, wow.
So a real shame for Hardigan there. He was having a fantastic race. But speaking of other people that had fantastic stops, Lindsay Hobbs at the moment. Lindsay Hobbs has gained quite a few positions, just having a little look through there. So Lindsay Hobbs has gained 25 positions at the moment.
Yeah, great run by Lindsay, and he's doing a fantastic job. Just try. Watch Jason Hardigan stop. I've got a feeling there might have been an accident coming into the pits for Jason.
As you go back for that, I'll just keep an eye on the field. And, at the moment, Josh Micklemore is getting a little bit of assistance because he's got a couple of cars around him now, and it's giving him that little bit of slipstream as they start shaking out. So Josh Micklemore's lap was a 41.7, and Jason Martin was a 41 dead. So about 0.7 of a second slower at the moment than the guys behind him. So this is where it's going to really shake out. Who's going to get it working? Of course, if a caution comes out now, it's going to work in Micklemore and Danny G's favour. It's definitely going to help them out.
Yeah, I mean, they could just pit from the lead and get fresh tyres, and the front field will be bunched up, and they'll be looking good. But I honestly think if it stays green, those guys that are one stopping are looking very good.
Yeah, there's not much time between it because Jason Martin now is 13 seconds behind. He's not gaining super fast, but he is definitely gaining. So that is, that's not what they want to see. They're going to lose quite a few positions when they come in for that second stop now. But the big question we got now for Martin and Danson is, can they go on fuel? Because they had to stop a little bit earlier, so they've got to run a couple of laps extra fuel there. Will that be a factor? We have seen people run out of fuel on the last lap before in this series.
That is true. Just back on Jason Hardigan's...
We've got a caution! We've got a caution as DPR car gets into...
Stockton.
David Stockton, I think. Gets in there, and we've got the caution, and this is what Josh Micklemore and Danny G would have wanted to see. That's almost perfect for them. That's really helped him out. So yeah, Damon Stockton just going past. Trying to have a little bit of a look.
S. Patterson. I'm not sure of his first name, but he's been hit on the rear quarter panel and gone into the wall.
Yeah, Patterson just came down into Stockton there. Stockton was really just a innocent passenger in that one. Not too much damage on Stockton's front, but looks like Patterson just came down, didn't see him there, and not expecting him to be there, and then that's caused that incident. So it's not going to be a green race, but I tell you what, Josh Micklemore is going to be smiling right now.
Yeah, those boys, you picked it on the two-stopper, will be they'll be smiling right now as they come around into the pits. Their strategy looks to be playing pretty well. I mean, if you're on a one-stopper like the other boys that were earlier and you're a bit tight on fuel, do you come in? and just get a little bit of fuel and some fresh tyres if you're worried about it. Interesting to see.
Honestly, it's not going to be worth staying out because the tyre drop off. They've been out there for 9 laps. The tyre drop off is going to be too much. They're just going to fall back if they don't stop. Track position's not going to help you out at all, as we see pretty much everybody pitting now. This is really going to help out people like Lindsay Hobbs and Neil Pearson. They're going to get fantastic positioning for this because they were quite high up. David Bellamy as well may get some good positions too. So we'll see what happens when they all shake out. Make sure everybody gets in the pits safely, of course, and everybody gets some good stops. That's going to be the big one.
Yeah, you can make a fair few positions here, and the guys on the one stopper will only have a very short amount of fuel time, as opposed to the guys on the two stopper. So they should make a few spots in the pits.
Danny G and Josh Micklemore managed to stay in front because they had such a lead, though, and that really did help them out. Though there was compression under that caution, they had a bit more of a lead coming in, which really sort of took away the fact for the fuel there. So Edward Foster's come out pretty well in that one.
Foster's made huge gains.
Yeah, Foster's made it up to 6th now. James Roby as well. James Roby's gone 24 positions up. Fantastic job for him. Great job for some of these guys. There are going to be some real horror stories and some real happy people out there.
Talking about horror stories, just before caution, Carl, with the Jason Hardigan incident, it was actually Chris Purnell coming into the pits at the last stop, actually spun coming into pit lane and almost smashed into a wall. So he avoided the wall, but yeah, not sure what happened to Jason in the end. But Chris Purnell with a lucky escape, and the pit crews down there would have been pretty scared.
Yes, the pixels would have been jumping out their pants.
But Jason Martin's lost a few spots out of that stop, so that's quite interesting to see.
Yeah, as it all shakes out, we're going to see sort of where everybody is. Jason Martin's down in 9th now. Matt Danson in 12th. It was not too bad. Wow. He actually managed to gain a couple of spots there. Skurlock's just ahead of him with Purnell in 13th. So those guys made it miraculously out with that pit incident. And now it's going to be he's going to see who can do it now.
Yeah.
If this runs green to the end now, it's looking good for Josh Micklemore. But effectively, everything's reset, so everybody's on an equal playing field now.
Yeah. Some special mentions too to Simon Mazzoma from 24th up to 8th currently. Neil Pearson 26th to 10th. James Robbie, as you said. Now, is it Roby or Robbie? I don't know if that's your accent, or if I'm going to call him James Robbie or Roby. But 32nd to 12th, huge amount of gains.
Well, if ever you pronounce it wrong, just blame an accent. That's what I say.
I'm going to call him James Robbie. I think I'll go the Aussie Robbie on that one there. But I really fantastic. 20 positions since the start and sitting pretty in 12th. We'll see what he can do from the restart.
Yeah, that's it. And again, just another mention to Lindsay Hobbs there, 17th at the moment. 20 positions gained. Fantastic job.
Jeez.
Hamish Gallagher, 23 positions gained. Good drive as well for Jonathan Hancock. As viewers would know from last season, the commentator, now race driver, has managed to get up into 27th place. So good run for him. It's first season in ANZCAR as well, so getting used to everything. Really good job for him. But Bradley Allison is just stuck up there as well. Really good for Allison, Cracknell, Xavier Bellamy as well, who has been fast. Xavier Bellamy was very fast in practice. A new name on the field and having a brilliant race so far.
Dangerous driver to look out for, you know. I mean, we're really. I think our winner will come from somewhere in amongst this top 10. But with the way this race is panning out, I think anybody within that top 10 has a climb at this victory tonight, and it's going to be an interesting 40 laps if it stays green from here.
It will be. So what lap was that caution on?
58, I think.
58. Yeah, it could be anyone's race. As we know, cautions do breed cautions sometimes. It's the old saying in endurance sport racing, whenever you've done sports cars and enduros, you always know that when there's a caution, usually there's a caution straight afterwards. So will we see that as well? So it could go for anything right now. But the pace car is going to be coming in this lap, so it's anybody's race really. But you've got to say, Josh Micklemore and Danny G are looking good at the moment. sitting up there as the teammates. But Bradley Allison is sort of an unknown quantity, and so is really Xavier Bellamy. So unknown quantities and could do anything. So pace car comes in.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen this before from Mitch Motorsport, though, at this stage, Carl, and they haven't been able to finish it off. So let's see what they can.
We will, and great restart for Josh Micklemore. He gets the hammer down, gets in front, and Danny G has slotted in just behind him. Fantastic restart for the Mitch Motorsport boys. Of course, saying Mitch Motorsport's had some bad luck. Of course, Danny G did get second in Las Vegas, of course. Right. You know, he's had a good season, and he was leading at Daytona as well. You know, he's had a fantastic, strong start to the season, but just a bit of bad luck as they all go winding across the road, trying to break each other's, trying to break the drag.
Oh, we got a yellow.
As we say, cautions breed cautions.
Yeah, picked it again, Carl, as another caution comes out. I'm quite sure what's happened there, but the caution has come out again.
Matt Allison, our rookie star from Daytona. Something's happened to Allison there. Going back and actually having a look at that one.
Yes, hard to say. I was looking over the field, didn't see anything going on, but have a bit of a look at.
Yeah, Matt Allison's missing the front half of his car, so.
Oh, that's not a good sign.
That's probably a sign that something bad's happened.
Just can't figure out how that's happened. Because
and Jonathan Hancock as well, actually. Johnny Hancock as well has got a bit of front damage on his car. So I wonder what happened there. I'm just going to go back and can't really see what's happening, unfortunately. My system's playing, so we'll hopefully have a replay of that coming up. So it looks like it was Jono Hancock and Matt Allison, unfortunately, involved in that one. Just from speculation of looking at things, and also the 696 is missing the whole front end as well. Damien Stockton as well, missing a whole nose of the car.
So before my replay cuts out, Matt Allison and Damon Stockton are battling, trying to catch the safety car pack, and then my screen cuts out. So I've got a feeling they might have been pushing hard to catch the pack, and they've actually might have come together, I think.
Similar thing here as well. I've lost the replay for those cars, so it's not coming up, which is always fun.
Oh, you got a replay?
Lovely. So I've got replay coming up now, so our producer will hopefully talk us through that one and let us know what's going on. Hint, hint.
Yeah, it's just weird that it cut out, but yeah, it looks like they were just pushing to catch the pack, and they may have come together. That's pretty interesting.
Now, interesting thing now is anyone going to take a pit stop? It's only been a couple of laps on these tyres, but 5 laps is a big difference on these tyres. It can make a world of difference there.
So we've got a lucky dog coming through. Is that Hardigan?
Yeah, we can't get it on the thing, but yeah, Hardigan comes through for the lucky dog, I think. Pretty sure that was Hardigan's car.
Yeah, Hardigan coming through with the lucky dog, so
yeah,
that's good for him. You know, it'll... I'm sure he'll make up a fair few spots with still 37 laps to go.
I do actually. It is the. I'm gonna grab Jonathan Hancock up and ask him what happened.
Yeah.
Jono Hancock, how's it going? Carl Withy here for SimShed Broadcasting.
Hey Carl, how are you?
Good, good. We're trying to figure out what happened there on the on that second caution.
2 guys in front. I think they were lapped down. A couple laps down, they crashed, and I just had nowhere to go, unfortunately.
So you're a bit of an unlucky passenger in a crash there, because yeah, we did see Allison and Stockton missing the whole front of their car and saw some damage on yours. So unfortunately our feeds cut out there. So It's good. It's somewhat good. It was you that got involved, so I could grab you up and actually find out what happened. But unfortunate that it was you as well.
Yeah, my the strategy was just starting to come to play because I set out for the 50 laps, as you probably saw on the broadcast. So it's just all starting to come back into my hand. If I had some speed, and then 2 lap cars, those guys were trying to pass right in the restart, and I think he thought he was clear and come back up, and he wasn't clear, unfortunately.
That's a real shame, yeah. Once that caution came out for that sort of that first caution came out, it kind of scuppered the one-stop strategy, guys. It was looking good for you guys there for a few moments, though.
Yeah. I guess it could still play out if the guys, I don't know, have enough pace. But it'll be much of a muchness.
Well, I wish you the best of luck with the rest of this one. Hopefully the front end damage isn't too bad for you. You're having a nice run up in the sort of high 20s there for a while, and you're still
34th at the moment, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yes, but you're still on the lead lap, so that's the main thing. So I'll wish you the best of luck, let you get back to it, and thanks for coming up.
All good, Carl. Have a good night.
Thanks, Jono. Jonathan Hancock there for Team Alpha. Fantastic job. It's fantastic to get the information there, find out what was happening, because that's useful to know. Really unfortunate.
Yeah, unfortunate there for John Hancock. He'll have better races as the year wears on for sure.
Yeah, so it's an unfortunate incident sometimes, and you're just a passenger in it. And I was actually talking to him before the race about that kind of thing, and it's unfortunate that it happens sometimes, because there's not much you can do in those situations. And it's sort of, you just need to get trust of the people around you and know who you're racing.
Yeah, and that's exactly right, and he'll build that up pretty quickly, I'd imagine. Looks like a decent drive.
He's been doing good this season, and he's getting up in the Xfinity and Truck Series, and doing the right thing of getting experience under the belt and getting sort of up there each race. So expect some good things from Jonathan Hancock in the future. It's nice to get him up in the box again, just for a quick chat. It's been a while since last season. But the caution lights are out on the pace car now, so we should be going back to green very shortly.
Well, and only for 34 laps to go. So as you said, cautious. These guys are going to be patient now. I mean, we talk about a lot in oval racing. If you're someone, within that top 10 or roundabouts, you're going to want to start making some moves. So patient drivers, aggressive moves, and I think we're going to see some fireworks here.
Yeah, we'll see what happens now on this restart. It's going to be very short. It's going to go green, and Josh Mickelmore puts his foot down, and away he goes. And he's going to try and hope that Danny G can slot in behind him. Looks like he does. Fantastic start for the Mitch Motorsport boys there. So everybody's going to get back to racing now, and we'll see how this goes for the rest of the pack, because this is where it's dangerous. When you've got slightly worn tyres, you've got low tyre pressure, and things can really throw you off.
And Neil Pearson almost into the wall there. Took a really high line, but really keeping an eye now on the likes of an Ed Foster, Matty Danson, the Illusion boys making big grounds as Danson goes 3 wide, and there's a touch again.
There is a touch, and it's
big one.
Trying to find who that was.
Xavier Bellamy.
Xavier Bellamy, yeah, one of the new drivers there, unfortunately. Just got spun round with one of the DPR cars.
Yeah, Matty Danson goes up the inside, just as I was saying, to make it 3 wide, and the car next to us, and Xavier Bellamy has moved in front of that line. Really, Xavier probably should have held his line there, and he's been turned around, and it's caused a massive shunt.
Yeah, look, Xavier Bellamy, very fast driver, somebody to look for in the future there. Absolutely, very good pace, but possibly a bit of inexperience there just coming into play. And that's the thing with oval racing. You jump in sometimes, you might have some very good pace, but occasionally it does sort of bite you in the bum a little bit. And unfortunately there, he got sort of caught in a little bit of a crash, and quite a big incident there. And I imagine we're going to see people coming into the pits for a change of tyres. I think we're going to see a few people chucking the dice for this one, because they've done 10 laps on these tyres. Sure, most of them have been under caution, but we've seen how much difference there is from 10-lap fresh tyres. Does anyone take it?
Oh, you've got to take a punt, I think. If you're beyond that top 10, I'd be taking a punt for sure.
Yeah, it looks like pretty much everybody's actually going to stay out.
Wow.
So
okay.
Nobody taking
Shows
the risk.
what I know.
There are a few cars coming in, actually. We've got a few of the cars a bit further down. So Jackson Hartigan is first in with Cluett and Xavier Bellamy, of course, and Pearson. Just having a look through there. So those guys have come in, and that's not a bad move. They're going to have slightly fresh tyres. They could actually do something in this race now.
Definitely. Just on that crash car, unfortunately, just a few people were caught up. Stephen Williams was caught up in that, had a massive shunt. John Hancock was also involved, T-boned Stephen Williams out of that, and Neil Pearson. So those were your other 3 drivers that had major contact in that pile up there. So John Hancock, Stephen Williams, and Neil Pearson basically race over. The damage is extensive.
A real shame there, and sorry to Jonathan Hancock. We put the real curse of the commentator on him there, dragging him up into the booth.
Should we bring him back in and we'll find out what happened in that one? But, he might not be happy.
We'll let some profanity get out of his mouth first. Yeah, a real shame there for him because, as I say, been having a good season. It's good to see him racing as well. Although it's nice to see him out on track and having a good time because I know you guys want to be out on the track and racing rather than up here in the booth commentating.
Yeah, that's right. just listening to a couple of the cars seem to be in extremely high rev range. For whatever reason, I don't know if they're trying to get rid of some fuel, but it sounds bizarre. I'm just on Josh Mickelmore, like he's in first gear, but that just might be my sound playing up. But yeah, some strange sounds coming from his car. One of the cars. Might just be my sound playing up.
I think it might just be sound playing up.
My sound's doing some great things tonight.
He's at about 5,000 RPM at the moment.
Yeah,
so
okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Good to hear. It's good to know my sound's going well. But yeah, back to the race. I mean, it's shaping up. We talk about the team battle throughout the year. 2 Mitch Motorsport guys, JP Simshed, Ed Foster. A bit of rivalry already forming between Ed Foster and the Mitch Motorsport guys, especially some controversy out of Daytona in round 1. So he's going to be right up behind these 2 boys off the restart. It'll be interesting to see what the Mitch Motorsport guys do to stave that off. Bradley Allison, he's just been there all race. He's looking fantastic. And Jason Martin and Matt Danson lurking in the background in 7 and 8. So this is fascinating.
Yeah, and Michael Cracknell as well. Fantastic qualifying job. And he's sitting in 5th, and that's where he started. So started 5th, good job for him. Another guy sitting in the place he started was Jason Martin in 7th. So somebody to look out for. And Matt Danson's right there as well. Riley Curtis is up there in 6th, and he's dropped positions, but he is fast on this track, as we saw in qualifying. So, we'll see what happens there.
Good recovery from Riley, because from starting on pole, he seemed to get checked up a few times early on, and he ended up in the mid pack of that large hungry pack we had earlier on. So he's worked his way, even though he started pole, he has worked his way back up into 6th. So he's obviously got pace and someone to look out for as well.
Yeah, he's done well to get back up there. He got some terrible issues. Joshua Carroll-Walden's done well to get up, as well as Raymond Yeager.
Yeah, we haven't seen much of them.
12th and 13th. And yeah, been very quiet today. But sometimes that's a good thing to do, is if you're a bit quiet and just going unnoticed, you usually sneak up some good positions.
It was quiet at Daytona as well, Carl, and we know what happened there. So
bit of a smiling assassin.
Yeah, someone to watch. But I'm really pumped now for these remaining 29 laps. These guys, there's a lot of people who could win here, and I think we're going to see a couple more cautions before the end of this one.
Yeah, it could well be, and people are going to be really trying hard because we've got so many cars on the lead lap as well. 34 cars on the lead lap at the moment. Jake Maloney's right at the back of those lead cars, but he has got a little bit of damage and has had some, not had the best of luck. But there are some people down at the back of the pack that usually will climb up. Speaking of people like that, Dave Douglas, 21st position. He usually finishes top 10, so we might see something special from him. A bit of a run up there. And speaking of former commentators as well, Brett Douglas out, which is great to see again. He's sitting in 20th position, so it's good to see Brett back on the field. Brett Douglas, of course, commentating with us in the first season, but the pace car is going to be coming in, and we're going to go back to green flag racing.
Might have a listen to these bad boys. Again.
and we are back to green flag there. So just having a little look down and seeing who took a punt on the strategy. Neil Pearson's currently the top of those guys, and he's currently will line up there. He's got quite a lot of damage on the front of his car.
Oh, there's a caution. There's a big one at the back.
But another caution.
Oh, big hit. Didn't see who it was, Carl. I'm just gonna go back and have a look. But yeah, at the back, yeah.
Yeah, very big crash. Looks like Jake Maloney has been involved in that one. There is an almighty crash in front of him. So, crikey, having a look to see who that is. You're not going to get that one. There is a huge incident there, though. Looks like the 62 of Mirko Dortnack, I think, or... Right, yeah, of Mirko Dortnack, I think that is. I'm just trying to see where everything is now. Looks like one of the Illusion cars has got sideways, and it's a big crash.
Yeah, it's Dortnack.
Up into the wall, and then just a sea of cars collected him behind, and there is just carnage all across the track. Cars everywhere. Jake Maloney, if we can get a look on board Jake Maloney, he managed to avoid that crash. He managed very well avoiding that incident. Almost like dodging and weaving between the cars on the grass. Flying across the grass, and he's managed to actually avoid pretty much all of that incident. There's quite a few cars with engine damage and things like that, but Jake Maloney, that would have been one heck of a moment for him.
Yeah, so, Mirko, the winner of last year, Dortnack, just lost it. Just lost the rear end, tried to fight a bit of oversteer and a shot, and there's been a big T-bone by, I think it's Robbie. James Robbie comes through and T-bones Dortnack at extreme pace. It's a big accident for James.
Yeah, big accident, and yeah, just going back and watching Jake Maloney's view from that one, and that was a brown trousers moment. He managed to just thread the needle between two cars crashing there. Fantastic job. But as we said before, cautions breed cautions, and they are definitely doing it. Now the big question is is everybody staying out there? Is people going to sort of consider coming in for a quick pit stop? It's with.
I mean, you're going to lose a lot of track position, but I mean, if you're someone up the back, I think I'd be dice, like I said earlier. Jump on some fresh rubber. There's still 25 laps to go, probably when we go green, which is plenty of time to make up a lot of spots. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've seen with the grip those new tyres have, the amount of pace they have. Of course, they've not been running at race speed, so they're not going to be as worn as they were. But yeah, we're gonna have to see what happens here, because I think if somebody rolls the dice, they could definitely make some good positions. And speaking of people that did roll the dice, just looking.
It's Otto, but he's got his whole front end's ripped off, so he must have been involved in the accident. Unfortunately for Phil, someone I raced with in the major series has been involved in that accident. Yeah, his race looks done.
Yeah, there's a few drivers out there with very poor cars, but I'm just looking down at the drivers that have, that have fresh tyres on.
From earlier, of course, yes. Hardigan, I believe, came in. So.
And yeah, Jason Hardigan is currently the top driver in that. So sitting in 22nd position now. He has got very fresh tyres with Matthew Cluett behind him. And Cluett is a very fast driver. He got into the final of the chase last year. Jake Maloney is also one of those drivers on slightly fresher tyres, and we've seen he's got speed and also luck avoiding that crash.
Yeah.
So we could see some stuff from those guys.
Interesting to watch them, that's for sure. See what damage they can do. I mean, Hardigan, if he's to get anywhere up near the top after the lucky dog, that'd be an amazing story.
He will be very pleased if he can actually get back up there, because he was leading this race at some point. He's definitely got the pace, and with those fresher tyres, he might actually get some decent positions. We saw how quickly Josh Micklemore just scythed his way through the field when he came in for that two-stop strategy.
Yeah, that's right. It's shaping up. It's shaping up to be a cracker.
Yeah, if we can get
A
a few
lot
green
different
laps,
to last week, I think, isn't it? I mean, last week was a lot of green running, and it was pretty, it was a strategic battle, whereas this is now just shaping up to be, a head-to-head battle. Everyone's on same fuel, same tyres, except for a couple of guys at the back. And yeah, as I said at the last caution, I still think we've got, I reckon two more cautions until the end of this one. That'd be my prediction.
Going 2 more cautions. Okay.
I'm going 2 more. I'm going 2 more in the next 24 laps. I mean, these guys look hungry and they've all got a lot of pace. I think they're going to have some.
The biggest problem now as well is there's quite a lot of cars that have got damage in the pack, and around here damage is not good because the high speeds of this place, they're very high speeds. Back in the day when I used to work for Penske back in the 2000s, we actually we had a victory on this track with Gilles de Ferran, and the average speed was 241.428 miles per hour.
Jeez.
The fastest race lap pretty much ever. And we got a nice big box of donuts for that one, signed off by Mr. Penske himself. So we were pretty happy about that when they came in on Monday morning.
I hope those donuts are still in your cabinet at home, mate. That's a memento.
Unfortunately, they did get eaten on the day. You can't leave donuts around mechanics. But pace car is going to be coming in, and we're going to go back to green. Let's see how Micklemore goes. He gets a really good start again. Foster's going to try and keep behind him. But will Danny G get that little bit of extra and get down there? He does. Just get in front of Foster.
Great start again by the Mitch Motorsport boys. They've been doing all race. They've been dominating the race. Good to see a clean start, and it looks fairly clean back in the field as well. We're going green.
They're looking good. So yeah, everybody's away. It's just going to be getting those first couple of laps under your belt, just getting the tyre pressures built back up again. See how they all go. So that's it. This is the danger part now. It's the first couple of laps on those tyres, and that's where it can really come unstuck for people. So I'm just having a bit of a look down the field as we go. Just jumping onto Jason Hartigan, who's absolutely he's sort of going to try his best now. Gonna have some good speed.
Geez, Bradley Allison's just made a big block on Ed Foster. Ed Foster was also blocking Jason Martin, so it's getting touchy out there. It's getting aggressive. So yeah, Martin went to make a move on Foster. It looks like he's going to do it now. Danson's pressuring him up the back straight. Foster blocks again up on the inside. So there's the big players are making big moves.
Yeah, we got some big blocks coming at the front, and that can be dangerous in dangerous games. And I tell you what, if there's going to be no love lost between Martin and Foster if anything happens there. But he's trying to keep him behind him, but Foster's trying his best to get up there. Allison has actually got a decent run there and getting right up to second place now. That was a fantastic job for Allison positioning himself. Now Martin's dropped out with Danny G on the high line, and they're going to try and work together, but they are falling back a bit. They go very high up the track as Foster comes up to block those guys as well. But now he's got Matt Danson inside of him. Danson's coming up down, flying up the field. So now Danson's in the mix, and we know how fast Danson's been all day.
Yeah, Foster's going to block the Mitch Motorsport guys. He's left the door wide open for Danson as Danson comes down the inside, and looks like Allison's going to leave the door wide open for him as well. These boys are just letting Danson stroll through the field.
Yeah, Danson's just, he almost had the C's part in front of him, and he would have been very happy there. And now what's he going to be able to do for Josh Micklemore? Is Josh Micklemore going to be able to keep him behind? So this is the big one now. This is going to be the fight for this race. And we've got cars all over the place. They're running almost four wide down the back straight at the moment. Foster's getting a lineup as Allison comes down in front of Danson. Really aggressive move there. And Danson is having to drop back behind him, but this is giving Jason Martin a little bit of a run. Can Danson get the undercut? He's going for it. Now, Micklemore has dropped down in front of Danson. Whew. Pretty wide across the start-finish straight. They are really racing now. These boys are racing hard. You don't want to go free wide into turn one, though. That's going to be really tricky. And you can just see the speed just bleeding from some of those cars that were caught out on the outside there. They will get a better run-off now as they go past a car with quite a bit of damage. And the problem now is going to be catching cars with damage. But Matt Danson's got a fantastic run here. He's going to try his best to keep it in the middle of the track and then come down and try and snap down down underneath Micklemore. But Bradley Allison's got a good high line and he's going to get some good speed. It's going to be touchy here.
Well, Danson's coming through the middle. Martin's also in a hurry. You got the two big names, Martin and Danson, trying to get through these guys. Micklemore's battling on the inside as the other guys are going right around the outside.
And we're three wide into turn one, and Danson's had to lift there because if he didn't, he was going to just get Allison straight in front of him. But Allison has come out the winner of that one.
Who's that coming through the middle in the green Camry? 4 wide.
That was
touching. And he's hit Martin again. Martin's out again.
Not again. Martin getting caught up once again.
I don't believe it, Carl.
That would have been Cracknell, I think. Michael Cracknell, I think, there. Just getting into Jason Martin there. Third race in a row there. 3 wide in coming out of turn 3. And Cracknell, it just looks like, is caught in the middle of those two. Matt Danson's in front of him. They go 4 wide. 4 wide into the corner, and Cracknell just makes contact with Danson, flicks him up into Martin, and then Martin just goes straight into the 515 of trying to see who that was, Simon Mazzamo. Oh, that is devastating for just devastating.
I just can't believe his luck, Carl. I mean, that's 3 races in a row. That's the trick where Mitch Motorsports' Jason Martin has found the concrete. And none of his fault there. It's just a Cracknell had such a great run. I mean, he had to hold that line. But then he's, it's towards the end of the race, so he's having a dig, but he's just touched Danson ever so slightly, and it's...
just brushed the door, and that was it.
Twice,
that was enough to send him out.
Danson and Cracknell actually touched him twice prior to that. Geez, that was what oval racing was all about, though, prior to that caution, though, Carl.
And Danson comes into the pits.
Oh, what?
Danson is pitting. Danson's rolling the dice here. He might have some damage possibly, but the car looks pretty straight. I think he's just coming in for those fresh tyres, maybe.
Wow, this... If he pulls it off from here, nah, he can't win now. He can't win this race.
Bit of an Austin Powers pit stop again. Yep, he's going up for new tyres. So he's going to chuck some fresh rubber on there. We've got 15 laps to go. Everybody's on tyres that are 25 laps old at least.
Jeez.
Other than Jason Hartigan in 15th, he's made up some good positions with Jake Maloney. Those two guys have been making up positions, and maybe that's what Matt Danson's seen.
We can't question him, can we? I mean, his strategy called him to probably the best in the field. So, this would be one of the most ingenious decisions ever if this comes off. He's only going to have 14 laps to get the job done.
But we've seen that the tyres...
Hardigan as well has come in. Oh, no, sorry. It's not Hardigan. It's Raymond Jaeger.
So the guys were doing some lap speeds of... their lap speeds are dropping. So the guys now, they'll be doing like about a 1 minute... about a 42 probably, about 42 second lap times. Matt Danson is going to be doing about a 41, so he's going to be about a second a lap faster than everybody in front of him. So he's got a very good chance here of actually pulling off an absolute blinder.
Well, I might, I don't know if you want to do this for the viewers at home, Carl, but if you want to watch the front of the race, I might do a bit of a Matty Danson cam and keep an eye on him as he comes through the field, because he's going to be overtaking multiple cars a corner. I've got a feeling this could be quite something special.
Yeah, it's going to be hard not to watch Danson on that restart. In all honesty, normally we come up to the front and watch for these restarts, but right now it's looking decent.
No, Bradley Allison takes the lead of the race again. Josh Micklemore, Ed Foster made up 19 positions, sitting in third. Danny G, fourth. Chris Purnell, who we haven't spoken about much tonight, actually spun in pit lane earlier, now up to fifth. JCW, Jimmy Carroll Warden, I said I'd call him earlier, He's in 6th, making up 21 positions. As we said, staying quiet but making his way through. Skurlock, another guy we haven't spoken much about, now in 7th. So that's really shaken up the field, and some big names are now sitting in that top 7. People that we haven't really spoken much about tonight, but they're looking dangerous.
They are indeed. Really fast guys out there, but some real different strategies now. There's just such a big dice roll right now. But who knows what's going to happen?
So Jason Martin, is he? What? I mean, you're British. Is it the walking under a ladder? Is it breaking a mirror? Are those? What are the? What has he done? To cause this much bad luck.
I think he walked under a ladder while a black cat was crossing in front of him and dropped a mirror, and
this is the end result.
Forgot to throw spilt salt over his shoulder. I think he did everything. Yeah.
Okay. So maybe after this race, if you can get in touch with him and just tell him to chuck a bit of salt over his shoulder, we might be able to see him get in the top 3, or at least finish a race this season.
Yeah, it's his luck's got to change. He could be getting all his bad luck out of the way early, though. Jason Martin is a very fast driver, and he's a former champion. So he's got that speed, he's got that ability, and he's somebody to watch. You can't count Martin out, but with this luck he's been having recently, it's just. And it's pure luck, unfortunately. He's just been in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yep.
Nothing he can do in those situations, and it's got to change eventually. It will come round, and we see this with drivers. They do have these moments of just bad luck runs, and it seems to be happening for him at the moment. But we might see that change come later in the season.
14 laps, Carl. 14 laps to go. Danson's in 21st position, so he's got to overtake 20 cars in 14 laps.
So the pace car drops in, and Bradley Allison is going to lead them off. He's going to dump the accelerator. He dumps the accelerator, gets a good launch away, and now it's going to be between Foster and Micklemore fighting off, and Foster's got the inside line, so he's going to try his best. How's Matt Davison done on that restart?
Not a very good restart. So he had a bit of a not a very good one, but he'll start making up his positions as we go through the corners. I'll keep an eye on him, and I'll let the viewers know his progress as we go through the next few laps.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on him, and also a couple of the other guys like Jason Hartigan as well, and Jake Maloney. They got some good pace at the front. We're going 3 wide almost for a moment. Ed Foster goes down the inside, and he's looking to take front place from. And a slight contact to Allison between Ed Foster and Allison made very slight contact. Allison did a fantastic job of keeping it. Just a very slight contact on the door, just a slight scratch of the paint jobs. But this is giving Josh Micklemore a run. They're going 3 wide into turn 1 with Chris Purnell down the inside. The Illusion car is really working down on the inside line at the moment. He's got his teammate behind him as well. He's got a fellow Illusion car behind him. So that's going to be helping him no end. Sorry, not a fellow teammate. It's Joshua Carroll-Walden. Where did he come from? So threw me out there with the A on the front. So JP Simshed car of Joshua Carroll-Walden there, and a little bit of touch between Purnell and Micklemore there as well. But now this has given Carroll-Walden a good launch up the inside. Now he's running just beside Purnell, running 3 wide into turn 1 again. They're all going through it, but they're gingerly going, and it's given Josh Micklemore a chance to have a run on Foster now. Will Micklemore get the better exit on the corner? He does. Will he manage to jump down in front of Foster? We'll soon see. Purnell's taking a look as well, as Danny G as well in there too. Yeah, they're all taking looks at the front, and we've got a car to go around, and Kyle Sloggett has had a huge crash mid-pack.
Purnell in second has crashed into Danny G. Somehow on the caution he's lost it, out of second position, and he's taken Danny G with him. Unbelievable.
And just having a quick look at that one, I think what's happened there is they've slowed down, and it looks like Foster's gone up slightly. Foster's gone up, and it's just Purnell has just just lost it slightly. He just went up following Foster, and the rear of the car got loose. He went into the side of Carol Walden, and around he went. So 2 huge crashes there, and that's taken out a lot of cars that are, well, a lot of cars there.
Well, there's the second caution that I was talking about. We knew there was going to be, but geez, that accident in the background was absolutely massive.
That was a huge crash. There was a lot of cars involved in that.
Really Kai Sloggett is.
Kai Sloggett was airborne and
yeah,
going over the cars, and that's a real horror for him.
It's hit him here. It's Brett Douglas has sent him into the sky.
And I think just having a little look
Danson back, just misses the flying car actually.
Danson was just
it went underneath, I think, the car, so he's still in the race. Oh wow.
They're just having a look back, and yeah, Danson just missing that flying car, and as it went back, it landed on the top of Raymond Yeager and just tore the front half of his car off. Oh, that was a real unfortunate course of events, and of course for Purnell there, sorry. He just lost it just as he was going mid-corner. As they were slowing down, the rear just caught him out slightly, and the car just got loose, and that was a big one.
It's disappointing for Purnell. I mean, he really came from nowhere to be in contention for the win, and just got checked up and slammed the brakes on. He actually went into Carol Walden there as well, so hopefully Carol Walden's car's okay, and hopefully Danny G's car's okay as well.
Quite a lot of damage to the front right of Carol Walden and the front left of Danny G. They've both got a lot of damage on there. Skurlock as well has got damage from that. I think Allison was pretty much fine, and Riley Curtis as well. We've got Brett Gerditz there, but also, as I was saying, the Mr. Top 10, number 10 himself, Dave Douglas, has worked his way up to 9th place now. He was sitting about 24th a while ago, and he's now 9th. So, good job for Dave Douglas there.
Yeah, amazing, Mr. Consistent, doing his thing again.
You can never count him out of a top 10 finish, but that was a big crash, and that was a real unfortunate one, taking out a lot of cars. And I tell you what, Matt Danson must have a clover leaf stuck up his bum, because his luck there was unbelievable. He managed to avoid all of those crashing cars, and that has really helped him out.
I don't think his strategy was working as well as he thought. Just watching him after that restart, Carl, he was not making the ground I think he'd hoped. So, I'm not going to count him out from. And where is he? 17th. I don't think he's made the right call. Unfortunately, with only probably 6 laps to go after this restart, I think it's going to be pretty hard for him.
I think if we ran green for that whole time, we would have seen him climbing up there. Just it takes a bit of time for those tyres to warm up. I found the first 3 or 4 laps out on these tyres, they were a little bit slippery, fast but slippery. So it takes a little bit of time for the PSI to come up on them. But it's that was a real that's really changed the whole focus of this race.
Well, it has. I mean, I'm just looking at the guys in 3rd and 4th, JCW and Danny G. They both have fairly extensive damage, actually, more than what I initially thought. And you said it earlier. On a track that requires so much straight line speed, we know in iRacing, or like any racing for that matter, when you've got that much aero damage at the front, it's going to be pretty hard, I think, for those 2 guys to feature in this race. So you never know. We'll see what happens. But Josh Bricklemore and Ed Foster are looking really tidy at the moment.
Now, speaking of unlucky things, it seems that number 13 is not that unlucky for Hamish Gallagher tonight, because he is now sitting in 12th place. He's made up 31 positions.
Wow.
He was sitting dead last at the beginning of this race, and he's worked his way up into the top 20, 12th position at that, and he's got a very clean-looking car. Guy that we said you've got to watch out for, because he is quite fast. He's a good driver, and he has really shown it tonight. He has flown up there. Norman Clark as well, now sitting in 11th place. The experience of Norman Clark is just, it's nobody out there with the experience Norman Clark has. many years of experience, and I don't mean that in a bad way.
Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, in a good way.
The best way possible, yeah.
Yeah, 28 years old, I think, too.
Yeah, that's it. He's only 28 years with 48 years of experience. But no, fantastic job for him. But got to say as well, no bias here, being we're Simshed Broadcasting, but the two JP Simshed cars of Foster and Carol Walden, 20 and 24 positions gained for those two. They've done very well to get up there, and they're looking pretty racy as well. Josh Micklemore is going to have a bit of a handful for the end of this race. We're going to get a sprint to the end for sure.
I mean, you've got two Mitch Motorsport guys, two JP Simshed guys in the top. So how did this teammate battles go? Will be quite interesting. Both aren't following each other though, ironically. So yeah, this is fascinating.
In the top 10 as well, we've got two Illusion cars as well, because we've got Skurlock and Dave Douglas. So pace car comes in and we go back to green. Micklemore gets a great restart there, pulls away nicely, and that's going to help Joshua Carol Walden if he can get the speed, but it looks like he's not quite fast enough. That aero damage is definitely hampering him. Foster's managed to slot down there, and Danny G as well is just a little bit slower. So those guys are just that little bit slow on the restart. You can just see that damage just slowing him down a little bit for sure. But this is going to help some people behind him. Bradley Allison is coming up quite well. He's sitting right on the back, and he's just bump drafting Danny G right now, just pushing him out of the way. Another guy that's almost bump drafting is Skurlock on JCW there, just giving him a good push along at the moment. And that's kind of helped him. Danny G has sort of been helped a little bit with that push and got himself up there. Bit dicey in the middle of the field as we've got Skurlock coming up through, as well as Riley Curtis now. Brett Gerrits is out on the outside line now as well as he comes into turn one. Sitting high, they were 3 wide and they're still 3 wide there in the mid-pack. Very strong holding onto the car there. And Jake Maloney's also climbing up quite quickly. Jake Maloney's got much fresher tyres than these guys too.
There's a car off in the background, Carl.
And we have got a car
accident on the infield.
But it looks like we're remaining green, so that is good news indeed. So whoever that was just got off and actually managed to keep the race alive, which is what we want to see here. And Josh Micklemore is just starting to pull away a little bit now. And they're running 4 wide across the start-finish line with Joshua Carol Walden, Norman Clark and Hamish Gallagher. Some real harsh racing out there. They're really going for it. We've got Jake Maloney absolutely flying through the field now. He's up to 8th position now, and he's on much younger tyres than the guys around him. Also, another guy to look out for is Hartigan, who's also on those slightly fresher tyres. And no, Jake Maloney gets turned around. Maloney is being turned, and he collects another car. There's another big crash.
That's a huge wreck. There's 12, 13, 14 cars involved. That's a big one.
That is a huge incident, unfortunately. The 93 of Riley Curtis. Jake Maloney's just gone into the corner, and he's tried to slide down between the Middle Finger racing car and Riley Curtis, and there just wasn't room there, and that spun him around. Riley Curtis has got into it. Dave Douglas has got into it. There's quite a few of those top cars that are definitely in there. And yeah, a lot of the Illusion cars there as well. And a lot of cars in that incident, a lot of those top cars. Another big crash, unfortunately.
Yeah, Hamish Gallagher involved.
Matt Danson's been wiped out.
Daniel
as
Stevens,
well.
Matt Tanson. Oh wow, the big one involved as well, and that stop really ruined his race, unfortunately. Michael Cracknell involved again. Jason Hardigan involved, the guy on the fresh tyres. Wow, that's huge.
A real shame there. That's just devastating there. Some of the top guys there just getting really caught out, and yeah, that's such a shame.
Looking at there's a couple of drivers not happy out there. A few people in the chat and on the voice chat just coming through. Yeah, it's racing. It's the end of the race. People get pretty hot under the collar when they get taken out. They're not part of the initial incident in this type of racing. It can be quite frustrating. So unfortunately, there for a lot of those drivers. But yeah, I mean, what happens from here, Carl? I mean, is this a green-white checker situation?
We'll have a green-white checker for sure on this one, because it's not going to be it's not going to go back to green before the race ends. So we're going to have a green-white checker. So yeah, it's going to be a sprint to the end, for sure. It's going to be. It's going to be a big one.
I think you know, the guys in the top 3 positions, Micklemore, Foster, Allison, really strong. Unfortunately, Danny G and is really struggling, I think, with the damage. And JCW, was he involved as that as well? Because he's slipped right down to 24th.
Yeah, I think he got involved in that incident as well, somewhere along the line. They just looking for Joshua Carroll Walden. He's in the pits at the moment, so yeah, I think he got some big damage. So a lot of top guys getting taken out. So we're gonna have the the first time for a green-white checker for the hybrid racing simulation. So the white flag hybrid racing simulations, green-white checker it's going to be.
Amazing. Damon Stockton, who was involved in one of the earlier shunts in this race, is now back up to 12th after all of that carnage. I'm just looking in the field at some stories. Mr. Consistent Dave Douglas is involved in that. You put the mocker on him as well. More commentary curse from us. Was in the top 10, is now 17th.
Yeah, he's missing the whole front of his car. It's not looking good for him at the moment, and yeah, that's really put a dampener on some people's evenings.
We've seen some carnage tonight, haven't we?
We have, yeah. I was just looking through, and Damon Stockton's actually just stopped dead on the track. His engine looks to have blown.
Oh no! And I've put
a lot of these cars are going to have engine issues now as well. There are many cars out there with engine issues.
Yeah. We spoke about this earlier too. When you're running so much tape in this game, and you have the engine tends to overheat pretty.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and with the damage caused to some of those cars as well, it's just really messed them up. A big shame for those. Some of the big winners, though, at the moment, as people like Norman Clark, Daniel Stevens up in 10th. He's sort of managed to get his way up there, but there are some very unhappy sounding cars out there for sure. They're not in the best condition.
Josh Micklemore is bump drafting the safety car.
Trying to get a little bit of extra fuel there.
Just giving him a little bit of a hurry up. Not happy with the pace of the iRacing safety car. But I mean, the guys in the top 3 positions, they have clean cars, and that's been the big difference here. You know, they've managed to stay out of all the carnage, and they're looking really strong. It was actually Bradley Allison that caught my eye on the last restart, as someone who just had immense pace. So I'll be interested to see if he can make a move for the win on this green-white checker situation.
Well, Bradley Allison's going to be sitting in a good position behind Josh Micklemore on this restart. So it's looking good for him. He's got a very clean car. He's got Danny G to his outside, and then Skurlock behind him. And Skurlock's another one to watch out for because he's relatively got a clean car. It's not looking too bad.
Fast driver that's sitting in a really dangerous position. Don't think he's got any damage. No, he's got a little bit from early on. Major, nothing like Danny G's got.
Yeah, a little bit of damage for those people, and just looking down, it's been a bit of a disaster.
Start to grid up. Here. You're right. Yeah, starting to green up in a green-white checker. So go green, go white, and then we'll finish. Unlike actual NASCAR, we're not going to have constant green-white checkers until we finish. I don't believe. I don't think iRacing has a system employed, but we'll have a look here as a Mitch Motorsport car leads the JP Simshed car. First and second, the Barbecues Galore car of Bradley Allison, probably the one to watch for me.
Absolutely. We might have a little bit of technical issue here. Just checking with our screen. Quite a couple laps behind on it at the moment. We'll have it sorted shortly. Sorry about that.
No worries at all.
Oh yeah, it's going to be an interesting one.
Well,
and the green checker is out. And away we go.
Great start by Josh.
And Foster has got into Allison.
He's going to come up a big impact there.
And there is a big impact behind, and the caution is out again. And that's ruined Foster's evening. and Allison's as well. Go back and try and see what happened there. Just looks like they've both just looks like Foster and Allison just got into each other there, just racing instant, but then Foster's not been able to catch it, gone up into the track, and then a lot of cars have gone into him. He's managed to stay relatively unscathed from that as much as he can, but that is a huge disaster for him. What a race it's been to the end here.
Just absolute carnage, Carl, and just watching Allison, I don't want to put any blame on them. He just seems to drift across his line just to touch me, and they're so close. So if you make that little drift, it's just such a light tap, and there's a double tap actually. It's the front left of the JP Simshed car. It's the front right of Allison's car, and it just causes absolute carnage.
Yeah, really devastating there. Just such a shame. So we're going to get one last.
What happens now? Is that another green-white checker?
Yeah, we're going to have another hybrid racing simulations green-white checker to go, and that will be the last chance. So if they get it across this time and it stays green, then that will be it for the race. So everybody's going to just pack up again. This might work out very well for a couple of other people.
Wow. Skerlock. Oh, we've got a checkered flag.
We've got the checkered flag.
Over.
It's over, yes. Okay, sorry, we're just situations coming up there. So Josh Micklemore there getting the win after that one. The race has stopped from time. So Josh Micklemore gets the win there. Michael Skerlock second, Danny G third. That was a very instant field race there, unfortunately.
There's going to be a lot of unhappy drivers, Carl, in the race debrief, I think, which is what this racing's all about at times. The rivalry between some drivers, and there's going to be a few cranky drivers out there, but also some happy ones, especially Josh. He drove brilliantly all race. Skerlock just came from absolutely nowhere to get second, and Danny G holds on with a bit of damage for third. Well done. Yeah,
well, Skerlock, he qualified quite well. He qualified in, I think, third place. Josh Micklemore qualified down in 11th. So, he's done very well there. So we'll just run through the finishing order. So winning the race is Josh Micklemore from Mitch Motorsport. Second is Michael Skerlock with the Illusion Racing team. And behind him is Danny G. Another good, strong race for Danny G after the Daytona. He's third there. Brett Garrett manages to get fourth place. Fantastic job for him. Norman Clark, fifth. 14 positions gained. Then we have Raymond Yeager, 24 positions gained in that race. He's going to be pretty stoked with that one, especially considering his car looked almost like it would just come out of a box and was with a few bits left over. Michael Cracknell, 7th. Brett Douglas gets 8th place, sorry. Daniel Stevens in 9th. Tristan Koch, 31 positions. He's in 10th. Bradley Kemp, 27 positions, 11th. Riley Curtis finished in 12th. Chris Purnell managed 13th. Patterson got 14th, with Hamish Gallagher 15th. Joshua Carroll Walden ended up 16th, with Dave Douglas 17th. Bradley Allison 18th, with Edward Foster 19th. Hammy Stein 20th, and 21st with Matt Danson. Simon Mazzemo in 22nd, with Matt Hunter 23rd. Matthew Cluett 24th, with Jason Hartigan 26th. Aaron Smith 26th, with Damon Stockton 27th. Stephen Williams in 28th, with Devon Stove in 29th. Phil Otto 30th. Jake Maloney 31st. 32nd, Nathan Clive. 33rd, Neil Pearson. 34th, Jason Martin. Again, that run of bad luck. Lindsay Hobbs 35th in the end. Kai Sloggett 36th. Xavier Bellamy 37th. Mirko Dortnack 38th. 39th was James Robbie. 40th with Jonathan Hancock, Matt Allison 41st, Ryan Jones 42nd, and finally Nathan Connor in 43rd place. That was one heck of a long end to the race there.
Once it got to lap 60, it was utter carnage.
It was the end of that one, just a bit of a bad one at the end there, and that is a real shame to have happen. Look, sometimes it happens on ovals. You just have that string of bad luck, and cautions breeding cautions is one of those things, unfortunately.
I apologise for the viewers at home about not calling the checker flag because the checker flag didn't come up for me. It was saying yellow, so...
Yeah, same here. So, yeah, the system was having a bit of a moment because it was giving me it was saying it was going to have a second green white checker, but I think the system decided, yep, we're not going to do that after all that.
I think it might have timed out, actually. But,
yeah, I think that might be it. Or very close to it. But what we'll do is we will grab down the winner, Josh Micklemore, for Mitch Motorsport.
Hello, Lemons.
Josh Micklemore, Carl Wibby here for SimShed Broadcasting. Congratulations on the victory there.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's been a tough few weeks.
It's not been the best to start for the season for you guys. Obviously, there's been a couple of bad moments for the team, and we've got to just say Jason Martin has had a string of bad luck. He's obviously kicked a few black cats or something and broken a few mirrors this year. But congratulations on getting that victory, and it was a strong race for you guys. Danny G there in third place as well. And as I say, Jason Martin had a very strong race up until the unfortunate accident. How did it go for you? You sort of a bit of a long one there.
Yeah, so would have been interesting because I was on different strategy. Myself and Daniel were on different strategy for about 25 other different cars. So I'm not sure how our strategy would have worked out if it went green. But when the yellow came out, it was in first. That was good, and then caution first. That. So, yeah, it was a bit of a hard slog before that.
Yeah, just on those restarts, was it to do with sort of tyre pressures dropping and things like that? Were people struggling for grip out there on those restarts, or was it just people getting a bit overexcited?
In draft, on those first couple of laps on new tyres, the car does get very loose in the corner entry and exit. First couple of laps when you're in draft, but when you're in the leading car, it's like a completely different car. Being in draft, so for me, I didn't have an issue with it while I was there.
Yeah, well, you certainly wouldn't have had that issue much in the race. You pretty much led most of it there. Fantastic job getting up from 11th at the start of the race, of course. And as I said, it was just strong work from you guys. You've been showing that pace this season, up at the front, and there's been a few unfortunate incidents for you, but it seems this race has gone slightly better for you guys, which is what we like to see, and it's nice to have you back up in the booth as well.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, I believe we've had pretty strong cars, all three of us, each race. It's just gremlins are coming up and taking us out or whatever, just stupid little things coming in our way to get it finished off. Jay's still got tangled up in a bit of mess tonight, so he's still got dramas, but it's funny, I can do decently in the American races on the weekend and then come in here and it's just can't get it done. But obviously things are starting to change, and Daniel had a good run last week. So.
Yeah, it's good to see you guys up there because you've definitely got a good, strong team behind you. Yourself, Danny G, and Martin. It's a bit of a super team, and we are seeing it this season. You guys are running up there, and it's just been some unfortunate luck for you. And it's good for what we can see for the rest of the season as well. What are your hopes this season?
Yeah, like I said, I think we got the pace. We just got to get it finished, get it all finished off for the end of the races and be there for the end of it. That's what we're having issues with. But yeah, I don't have a problem. I think we'll be fine as the season goes. But it's just we just got to get through these few hurdles and then we should be all right.
Well, I'm very sure it will come. It's going to be a good season, I think, when everything starts going smoothly, and you've definitely got a strong team there, and you're definitely a danger to the other teams out there at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Matty here, Josh. I don't have any questions for you, mate, but I just want to congratulate you.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Race, and I thought you were a deserved winner tonight. You kept clean, you put your car in the right positions, and you were bloody quick, and you should be really chuffed with that result. Well done.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Thanks.
Thanks, Josh. So, as usual, any shout-outs, call-outs, things like that before we send you back to the green room?
Yeah, Dan and Jace were teammates. Them for being decent drivers with me in that. BK Designs for giving us a killer scheme this year. Changed from white to red, a bit different. And the American team I'm running with at the moment for the American iRacing series as well, Nexus Esports. I have a shout out for those boys. Out a fair bit.
Well done, Josh.
Thanks so much, Josh. Yeah, it's thrown me off a little bit with your car colour change. It has caused me a couple of misfits, but no, congratulations, and I'm sure we'll see you back up here again soon.
All right, thanks, guys.
Josh Micklemore there for Mitch Motorsport. Yeah, fantastic drive for himself there. So grab Michael Skurlock next for Illusion.
I just need
Skurlock, Carl Withy here at SimShed Broadcasting. Congratulations on the second place.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's a bit of a lucky second place there. I didn't even expect it, to be honest. It just happened.
Yeah, there was a little bit of dice rolling out there tonight. Yeah, you had a strong pace, though. You had a good qualifying position, although there was nothing between qualifying, really. But you seem to have some decent pace out there. You dropped back, but it came back to you in the end.
Yeah, I came into this one because I'm still trying to get used to the way this new tyre works. And I was just convinced that I was wearing my stuff out. So I was like, I'm gonna come in tonight, and I had like this thing in my head where I'm not gonna go past a certain point on the steering on the wheel and take my time and don't get panicked and just stay the course, and it will come back to me. And I don't know. I think maybe 5 laps in, I hit the wall. My own wasn't good. It's only like 2-second damage. But I don't know. Even towards the end of the run, I was still saving it and still losing time. So in the end, I just went, stuff it, just start yanking on that wheel, start ripping it, and it seemed to work better. So I don't know.
Yeah, getting used to the new cars. We were actually talking about that earlier in the race because this season we are on the new tyre models, the new cars, things like that, and obviously it's a big change for you guys.
Yeah, it's completely different. Really weird. I mean, I don't know. I really want to get, I want like every now and then you see Dale Earnhardt Jr. or William Byron Jr. on here, and I want them to say they think it's more realistic now or not. Like I want them to give feedback so I know it's the right feeling rather than the wrong feeling. Because at the moment I just don't know. I just don't know what it is or not.
Yeah,
that's an absolute valid point because it's very hard because obviously the biggest trouble with sim racing sometimes is the car will feel completely different to what it should in reality, and it's hopefully this new tyre model does mean it is that sort of closer to it, but without knowing, we won't know for sure. So hopefully we'll get some answers for that soon. Yeah, anything you'd like to add, Mano?
Yeah, Michael Matty here, mate. Congratulations on second place. Probably mine the question or comment is in regards to the team championships, because it's good to see an Illusion car up there. It was a shame for your team at Purnell earlier, had a big shunt, but you're the meat and the sandwich of two Mitch Motorsport guys, and I think you guys are looking good to shake things up this year.
Yeah, well, we got enough of us, haven't we? So hopefully one of us does well every week, otherwise we're in trouble. But yeah, no, like I said, I was just lucky, man. I was just getting on the inside all the time on restarts and just holding my line down there. Then just take what I got, and luckily I just missed wrecks.
Yeah, fantastic driving, mate. Yeah, well done on your second.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Good to have you back in the booth as well, Mick. It's nice to see you up here again. Anyone you'd like to give a shout out for tonight?
Yeah, just Illusion guys. Chris is virtual motorsport mentor. Does coaching sessions for people that just sort of starting off. And you guys for doing the broadcasting. JP SimShed. And everybody else that rocks up and joins in the races, otherwise we wouldn't be doing it. So thank you, everybody.
Well done, Michael.
Thanks, Mick. We'll catch you again up here at some stage soon.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Bye.
Garlock there for Illusion Racing. Yeah, been a bit of an up-down season for those guys. So Danny G now, third place man, Danny G. Danny G, Carl Withy here for SimShed Broadcasting. How are you going?
I'm not too bad, fellas. How are you guys doing?
Yeah, good to see you up here again, mate. This is becoming regular.
Yeah, it is. It's good.
Yeah, it's nice to see you guys having a bit more luck this race. We were just saying before to Josh about poor old Jason Martin's luck this season. It's not been with him. just on the restart, just I can't remember which restart it was. You had a bit of trouble yourself.
Yeah, I wasn't getting the tires up. Like I had the first lap, and then I got real tight. Other guys seemed to sort of blow past me, and I think that one incident, Purnell sort of got loose, and I saw him hit the car down on the inside, and I thought, oh, he's going to come back up the track, and I just couldn't get down enough. And I know I hit him, but yeah, luckily it just didn't seem to do too much damage.
Yeah.
So how was your pace after that crash, Danny? Was it it seemed like it might have been hampering you from the outside, but you don't think it was too costly in the end?
I definitely was. Like by the time I got to the start finish line down the straight, I could tell like I wasn't catching the cars in front, and the guys on the outside were sort of by. But I thought if I can just hold the low line, hopefully I can get away for top 5. Yeah, luckily I did.
Yeah, it worked out well for you there, and again back in the top 3. So that's 2 weeks in a row now for you. You're sort of getting there and getting up there, which is a good thing to be. It's going to help for your championship position.
Yeah, definitely. I think with Edward having the problem he had there, I don't know about the championship, but I could be pretty up there in the points, maybe first. I have to wait till tomorrow, I suppose.
Yeah, well done.
We'll wait for all that to get
Now
updated.
you've just got to stay there for the next 8 months.
I know, it's a long season, isn't it? It'll be hard, but I'm sure we'll be all right.
It's a bit of an endurance on the old voice box as well. Yeah, so it's good to see you up here again, Danny. Hopefully we'll see you again next week.
Yeah, too easy, fellas. I'd just like to say thanks to Mitch Motorsports and Bob King's race paints. I think they're awesome, and yeah, congrats to Josh for getting that win for us. That was good.
Awesome.
Well
Thank
done,
you so
Danny.
much, Danny, and we'll see you again soon.
Easy, fellas. Thank you.
Okay, and just before we head off, we're going to grab up Jason Hartigan just to see what happened to him at the end of that race and have a quick chat to him. Jason Hartigan, Carl here for Shed Broadcasting. How are you going?
Hey guys, how's it going? Yeah, going pretty good.
Yeah, it was going well for you for part of that race, and then not so well towards the end. How was it from your perspective?
Yeah, it was the first green flag pit stop that sort of stuffed me up a bit. I saw Purnell get a bit loose going in, and so I released the brake, which gave me a stop go 40-second hold. So
We were wondering about that pit stop. We were trying to work it out up here, and we couldn't quite get it. But nice to know exactly what happened. Not nice that it actually happened to you, though. It was a bit of an unfortunate event coming in there. You had some really good pace at the start of that race, though.
yeah, for that first 50 odd laps, I just basically stepped back, just let them all battle it out. Didn't want to chew my tires up too far.
And then I think, Jason, it's Matty here, mate. I think you got the lucky dog, and you seem to be back in the race. You had were you caught up in another accident, mate?
Yeah, I got caught up in one of those last ones.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate because you were on some slightly fresher tyres than the rest of the guys out there as well. Saw that you'd sort of come in on one of the cautions, and it looks like it could have been a good strategy call for you. Were you finding those fresh tyres were helping you a little bit before you got caught out in the accident?
For the first couple of laps, they were actually quite loose. The car was quite loose for those, but after that, I was able to get some momentum. But I didn't have a long enough run with all those yellows, so it's sort of not ideal to gain positions.
It really did rob us of some interesting strategy calls. There were a few interesting tyre strategies out there towards the end of the race, and it was a real shame not to have that play out. But yeah, it was good to see you up there fighting for first place for a while. And how are you feeling for the rest of the season? You feeling quite comfortable in the car now on the ovals?
Yeah, I'm getting there. I mean, I've only really just started doing ovals end of last year, so I'm sort of getting more and more comfortable in the car and getting faster. And my goal is to qualify up the front a bit more, so I know I can sort of run up there. That's sort of my goal for this.
Well, practice will make perfect, and it's always disheartening to hear somebody that's just starting on ovals being very fast like yourself, because it means you've got a lot of pace to find sometimes. So it's going to look good for the rest of the season for you.
Yeah, I hope so.
Just before we let you go, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to tonight?
Yeah, I'll give a shout out to JP and Ed for putting the faith in me to stock car team. All of our sponsors, Drive Sim, yeah, Bruzy and Jinx, all the guys on the team. Just yeah.
Thank you so much, Jason Hartgen. And we hopefully will catch you in the box sometime later in the year.
Yeah, mate, that'll be cool.
DJs.
Yeah.
Hartgen there for JP Simshed Racing. So yeah, that's we'll start wrapping it up there, I think. It was a fantastic green flag race pretty much halfway through, and then everything went wrong, and cautions bred cautions, and I think a lot of people are going to be sort of looking at themselves and having to think about sort of a little bit more conservative restarts maybe in the future.
There are definitely some drivers licking their wounds tonight. A couple of drivers might be having a couple of DMs with one another throughout the week to find out exactly what's going on, but all that does is just make it more entertaining for us to watch each week when we're watching drivers battling it out and the rivalries on track. So bring on the next race. Where are we next race?
Yeah, we're in Phoenix next time out. So
Phoenix,
just before we go, I will run through the next couple of things on the SimShed Broadcasting Network. But just one thing to say also on that is that new tyre model is definitely causing issues in the field. Because with those restarts, a lot of those drivers were being caught out on those tyres, and I think it's going to be one of those things as we go through the season. It's going to get a little bit better, and the people are going to get more used to it. The other thing as well, Auto Club down here at Fontana, it's a very weird circuit. It's very high speed, but you've got to be very careful, and it is very tricky on tyres. So it's one of those racetracks very early in the season that does catch a lot of people out sometimes. Yeah, it can be a tricky one. But next up, we've got Phoenix on the 5th of March. And then on the network, we have the ESIA Endurance Championship down at Imola, and that's on the 8th of March. The 10th of March, we have round 1 of the Jinx Super 2 V8 series. Now, that's a really good one to look out for. Yeah, excited to have that one coming up. And then on the 12th of March, we have Atlanta, and that's going to be a bit of a tricky race as well because grip was limited round there.
Oh, yeah, slippery track. Big
yes.
time.
So with that, we'll say goodnight. So I'll say goodnight from Mr. JP. Thank you for directing, and Matto, thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Good night.
And we will see you all next time at Phoenix. Good night, everyone.